Sorry, came down twice. I'm going to call the July 5th meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, please sign in. And I would just note that Councilwoman Hardman is on her way here. She was with a patient at Broadlawns and could not get away, so she's on her way.
3 members present, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Any changes to the agenda, Ryan?
There are no changes, Your Honor.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So moved. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 2, Citizens Forum. Now is the time for anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on any item that is not either part of public hearings or new business. Please come to the microphone, give us your name and address for the record, please. Right here at the podium.
Hi, my name is Randall Boyd, and I live at 1351 South 51st Street, West Des Moines. I'm here to talk about fireworks. I know they're illegal in West Des Moines, but that doesn't seem to have any impact. It seems like people shoot them off with impunity. I mean, you'll hear the people say that, hey, the cops don't do anything, they just give me a warning. I think something's got to change. I mean, I get to the point where I just hate the 4th of July. I cannot stand it. I mean, it's just like from the, like towards the latter part of June, maybe June 25th to probably like July 4th or 5th, or 6th or 7th or something like that. And it's like fireworks every night. Last night until about 3:30. I did call police, and I appreciate them coming rather quickly. And I guess they gave the person a warning, and they stopped. But that was just the person next door to me. That was no one else. I live fairly close to Quail Cove Park, so I frequent that quite a bit. I can see holes burned in the basketball court surface from the people, shooting off fireworks. I was down the other day. There's a group of teenagers that were throwing firecrackers in the bathrooms. And, it just, it's an untenable situation. I think you got to start putting some teeth into the laws and just, start issuing some tickets and let people know that, hey, there are repercussions for this. I mean, right now it's just like, I could care less. They're just going to tell me to stop, and tomorrow night I'll start again. I mean.
Yeah, Randall, I appreciate your comments, and we have received complaints from other residents as well. It is a very difficult situation. As you know, the legislature made them legal to sell. People can buy them. They can possess them. We've got to actually have our police roll up and see them actively setting them off. So we're kind of in a bind on that, but I agree with you. I think we need to take a look at it and see if there's something more that we can do. I feel like every year we have everybody, all hands on deck from public safety departments out there trying to do what they can, but you can imagine there's a lot of people shooting them off, and
I know.
you gotta catch them in the act.
And I don't know if it'd be any easier if you started like really cracking down like on the 25th of June, the 28th of June, something around there. And it's like before you have like the kind of peaks on the 4th, obviously, and then it kind of tails down again. I mean, just to kind of get the word out that, hey, we are, we're serious about this, and,
Yep, we will bring this up, bring it before our Public Safety Subcommittee for review. Councilwoman Hardman as the chair of that subcommittee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could consider if someone actually had a picture showing someone doing fireworks and they showed it to the police, would that be evidence enough? I have a pet dog, and my dog was traumatized last night.
Yes,
so
pets
I
too.
truly understand that it's hard, and I understand people want to celebrate, but the burden of proof really is kind of loose. And I know police don't have time to be going through, everybody, but maybe there's something we could consider if there is an actual photo that's taken by someone seeing it happen and showing whether that's with consideration for some kind of a fine of some sort.
Well, I might.
Go ahead.
You'd have to testify to that.
Okay.
So the police have to see
I would gladly
it.
testify.
Okay.
That the picture is
I
legit.
would take a week off.
That
and
the person
testify.
that he saw is the person in the photograph, that would, or that you could actually, if you knew who the people were, you could point them out and but you would have to have that
Maybe that's not an
testimony.
option.
So,
Well, if we can, Jamie, if you can note this, let's bring this back to public safety and have another discussion to see what it is that we're doing, what's working, what isn't working, and if we need to put some more teeth into the law.
And
Yeah.
I do realize the situation you're in. I mean, the state legislature is kind of trying to ram this down your throat. It's like, oh, yeah, you can sell them anywhere you want pretty much or whatever. And, you know, even though they're not legal here, it's like, yeah, you can sell them in shopping center parking lots or what have you. And it's like,
Okay.
yeah, I understand that. It's, puts everyone in a tough situation.
Right, because you can't just roll up on them and see that they have them. Having them isn't illegal,
No.
you know, so it just makes it difficult
Yeah.
to enforce.
Randall, you also bring up something really interesting that I had never really thought of before. I guess when it comes to fireworks on private driveways, I think that's probably a lot of the stuff we're talking about. What you brought up was fireworks being used in public places and in public parks.
Yes.
And in the restrooms in public parks, which is something, I'm sorry, I just really haven't heard of very much of. But if there's a long history of that, that also brings another concern to it. So thank you for bringing that to our
Well,
attention.
I know that every year.
That is illegal, I believe. I don't think you can light fireworks off in our parks.
Yeah, and I know that happens every year down at Quilco Park. I mean, you can go down there and see because people don't pick them up either. It's like, just leave their trash there. And just on my street, too. There's like a little cul-de-sac there, and you can see just like there's a remnants, the trash, debris of, fireworks and such, firecrackers that were set off last night. People didn't bother to pick them up.
Okay, well, we totally understand your concerns, and like I said, we will bring this before the Public Safety Subcommittee and have a discussion, see what we're doing, what's working, what isn't working, and what we can do differently.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yep,
that.
thank you so much. Appreciate
you,
it.
Randall.
Anybody else in the audience like to address the council? Okay, seeing no one. Anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself. *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing no one, the Citizens Forum will be closed. And since Councilman Hardman got here, we will re-sign in.
There are now 4 members present, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Item 3, Mayor, Council, Manager Report, Other Entities Update. I don't believe we have any other entity update, so we'll start here with Councilman Lotz.
Only one quick thing is just what a great 4th of July weekend we had. What a great parade that, the team put on once again, and lots of fun for everyone. We have some big things coming up on subcommittees in the next couple of weeks, so I'll be reporting on them as we move forward. But 4th of July was always fun, so great job to staff for putting on that parade and everybody for taking part. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councilwoman Hardman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to also compliment Park and Recs for the wonderful job that they have done with the parade and all that it takes to get us where we need to be. So, Sally, please give kudos to your team for all the hard work on having a successful parade. And I want to thank the fire department that was on Ashworth Road. I had some out-of-town guests from California. They were very impressed with the new fire truck, and so they got to see it and go up in the cabin and take a view from above. And the captain there was so gracious with his hospitality and showing these 2 young men what it takes to be a fireman and a captain. So anytime you can educate young people about that kind of service, it's great. When they got home, that's all they were talking about, not the parade, but the fire truck. And so thank you, Chief Lou, for your team for making my 2 guests, one from California, flew in just 2 hours before the parade, felt like he was a big shot. So I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items here for the benefit of my colleagues on the dais and people that are listening in and those in the room. We had a development planning meeting this morning. Talked through a couple items. Just a couple things I wanted to note for you is we talked about some additional commercial designation along 88th Street in West Des Moines. We have a lot of residential areas there, and so I think we found a
I believe, a reasonable compromise with the applicant that was seeking to add some additional commercial property along 88th Street. We also discussed 2 more larger senior housing facilities that have been, that are moving forward kind of in the process. And so I think we will absolutely see those before the council here, but they came before our subcommittee this morning. I also want to shout out to Sally and her team. I attended the Celebration of Progression event roughly 10 days or so ago, where they had the artist Dow Blumberg in town from California, and it was a great event. It brought the kids out. You know, the artist got up, talked a lot about the history there. But there's a video out there, and I know it's shared on the city website. It's a Vimeo, probably a 3 to 4 minute segment. It's really unique, and it tells a story about the artwork that's on city campus here. And last, with respect to the 4th of July, I wanted to thank Jody and Hannah and so many others that help organize things on our side of the equation, but all the public safety folks that were out there, you know, seeing them stationed at various intersections throughout. It was very smoothly run. And then, of course, the fireworks last night on city campus, public safety officers, getting people in and out. It was, there could have been a lot of frustration about things, but I think they handled it extremely well, and it was an all-around great weekend, so thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for being back. I hope you had a wonderful vacation. My time as Mayor Pro Tem, I guess it's technically still going, but since you're going to be here for the remainder meetings, I don't have to run anymore, which is great.
Thank you for covering for me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I was told that I was talking really quickly, but in my defense, I wanted to get home. So, anyway, a couple of quick things. There was a Convention and Visitors Bureau quarterly meeting, and I want to thank Greg Edwards and his team over there because they shared some hotel-motel data and just all expectations for the summer tourism season over the last couple of months, just above and beyond. So they have they do, of course, plenty of analyses about how many people are going to come, stay in our hotels, specifically the ones in West Des Moines. They have that separate data. And just above and beyond, which means people are coming to West Des Moines. People are coming to the entire metropolitan area, which is great. But for our purposes, of course, it's great that people are coming here and enjoying the things that we have to offer. So really great to hear about that. Just happy 4th of July, everybody. 246 years old is quite old. But, in the sense of the world, it's just a baby. It's so young. But I hope everybody had a wonderful Independence Day. The parade was fantastic. All of the festivities were fantastic. Got to walk the entire route. I'm glad it wasn't tonight because 97 is a lot hotter than 87. It was fun. I turned around a couple points and Sally was there riding around a golf cart. I assumed that she was worried I was going to pass out and was there for support. Maybe that wasn't the case, but either way, it was good to see so many people out, so many residents lining the street and just enjoying the festivities that we had to offer in West Des Moines. My 2 sons have been asking for 2 years, I heard you ordered a fire truck, Dad. I heard you ordered a new fire truck. I was like, well, I voted 2 years ago for a new really big fire truck. And so we wandered over and yeah, there were a couple of members of the fire department who were kind enough to let them go up to sit in the front steering wheel and in the back steering wheel. And it made their day, made their week, and they're still talking about it 2 days later. So again, similar to what Councilwoman Harden was sharing, just to be very blunt, it's so cool. It is such a cool truck. But of course, in a much more professional sense, this is going to make a big difference when it comes to getting into small spaces in our many apartment buildings in the city of West Des Moines. So I hope everybody had wonderful festivities, the fireworks last night, the parade. But I think that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Deputy City Manager report.
No report, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank staff for the 4th of July parade and everything that they do. Like Councilman McKinney said, it's everybody. It's Parks and Rec, it's public safety. Hannah from City Manager's office was out there with Sally riding around on the golf cart, taking pictures, making sure things were going smoothly. Staff just never ceases to amaze me. You guys work so hard. You even have evening and weekend work as well, and you always have a smile on your face. and you just do a phenomenal job with everything that you do. So thank you for making sure this thing went off without a hitch. It was great. That's all I have for my report. With that, we'll move on to item 4, consent agenda. Are there any items that any council person would like to have pulled?
Oh, go ahead.
I need to pull item G, as I
Okay,
am
4G.
a trustee for Des Moines University, and so I
Sure,
would like to
sure.
abstain from that.
Okay, item 4G, and Greg?
4H1.
Okay. Can I get a motion on the remainder?
Motion to approve the remainder?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 4G, approval of agreement, addendum, Mid-American Energy Plex lease agreement with the Des Moines University. Renee?
No, I'm
To
Okay,
abstain?
okay, can I get somebody to move that?
Oh, yeah. I move for that to be passed.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Three yes, one abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, item 4H1, 76th Street, Ashworth Road to Aspen Drive, order construction. Greg?
Sure. Just wanted to kind of bring attention to this. So for this particular item, while I understand why the street is planning on going through, I think on behalf of the residents who live in the area, I will be voting no for tonight. However, when it comes to this 76th Street and Ashworth to Aspen Drive, it is still my understanding that until the development is done, it will not be open. Brian, that's correct? Yep, so just got the nod of affirmation for Brian, so thank you for that, I appreciate that. But, so I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Three yes, one no.
Okay, item 5, old business. We've got one item, item 5A, ordinance amendment, amend Title II, Boards and Commissions, Title 9, zoning, and Title 10, subdivision regulations to modify or remove inaccurate indications of planning and zoning commission decision and appeal authority of development-related applications and matters, city initiated. We have got an ordinance for the approval of the second reading, waiver of the third, and adoption in final form. Can I get a motion to?
Motion to consider the second reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title II Boards and Commissions, Title 9 zoning, and Title 10 subdivision regulations pertaining to the Planning and Zoning Commission authority over development, application, and appeals.
Move to approve the second reading?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
And move to waive third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6, public hearings. Item 6A, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider the shops at Valley West, 3330 West Town Parkway, amend the comprehensive plan land use map and the planned unit development to allow and regulate professional commerce park development on the middle and west PUD parcels initiated by West Bank, and this is continued from the June 20th meeting. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 6, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Plan and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 6 yes, 1 was absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the comp plan amendment and PUD amendment.
Okay, now's the time. Anyone from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6A, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing nobody moving, I will go online. Anybody online that would like to address the council, please hit *6 to unmute. Okay, hearing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment, and we've got an ordinance for approval, the first reading. We need to take these separately. There are no outstanding issues here, and Development and Planning also approved this unanimously at their June 6th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment to the comprehensive plan?
Move approval of the amendment.
Okay. Okay, any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, now we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading.
Move consideration of the first
Second.
reading.
Okay, any discussion?
Well, just a quick moment. The groundbreaking was a couple weeks ago. I know Councilman McKenney was there too, and it was just a really exciting moment. That's just going to be such a fantastic space right off of 235, and just an exciting moment, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really going to help to revitalize the area. West Bank is an incredible corporate partner for us, and really pleased to see this project going forward. So it's going to be amazing for this area.
Yeah, it was great to see. One of the things I highlighted, and Mayor Pro Tem, you did a great job highlighting it during your remarks, and that was it's the oldest business of any kind in our community, 129 years old, the same year in which our city was founded, choosing to have its fourth now location, headquarters in our community, and not just the work that they do, but also as a partner in the Historic Valley Junction Housing Trust Fund and other things. So really great to see.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree. Okay. Please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map in the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 9, Plan Unit Development District pertaining to PUD district regulations and guidelines.
Move approval of the first reading.
Is there a second? Okay. Please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6B, we are being asked to defer on this item until the July 18th meeting. Can I get a motion to defer on this
So
item?
move.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6C, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider Holiday Park, 1701 Railroad Avenue, amend the zoning map to establish open space and light industrial zoning initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 17th, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
The Plan and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 6 yes, 1 was absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the rezoning request.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6C, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one, I will go online. Please hit *6 and give us your name and address for the record. Okay, hearing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed. Again, we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading, and we've also got a resolution for approval of the lot tie agreement. We need to take these separately. Can I get a motion to consider the first
Move
reading?
approval of first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, just as a matter of clarification, I had a couple folks outreach on just some changes along Railroad there, and I'm just wanting to confirm, I think what I'm reading, and that is this is purely consistency. There are no further plans to change any use types in this area. Is it? I mean, this is a cleanup and not a
think that's correct.
intent to change or anything like that. Okay, I'm seeing
Yep.
head shakes. Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4 zoning districts and map.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the first reading? I think you moved it initially, Renee.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, now we've got a resolution to approve the lot tie agreement. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the lot tie agreement.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6D, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider amendment to City Code Title 9 zoning, Chapter 6, Commercial Office and Industrial Zoning District, allow beauty shops and barber shops in the Professional Commerce Park Zoning District, initiated by Penta Partners LLC. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
June 17, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 6 yes, 1 was absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the ordinance amendment.
Okay, anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no movement, I'll go online. Please hit *6 and unmute yourself, give us your name and address for the record. Okay, hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading. There are no outstanding issues, and this was also approved unanimously by Development and Planning at their June 6th meeting.
Motion to consider the first reading?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the City Code of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title 9 zoning, Chapter 6, Commercial Office and Industrial Zoning District pertaining to allowed uses in the Professional Commerce Park District.
Motion to approve the first reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Item 6E, this is time and place for a public hearing to consider amendment to City Code Title 9 zoning, Chapter 15, off-street parking and loading, update regulations pertaining to parking requirements for bars and restaurants initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 17, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 6 yes, 1 was absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the ordinance amendment.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6E, please come to the podium, give us your name and address. Anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading.
Move approval of first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You know, it's things like this and the last one that makes me really, really grateful that we have folks here in City Hall who can kind of comb through code and realize that there are problems when it comes to clarification. And it's these kind of things that will really help all of our citizens and residents and business owners so they can be exactly clear what the expectations are, what the regulations are. So it's always nice to see this, even if it's just like a cleaning up of language. It's very, very helpful for everybody. So very supportive.
Thank you for that, Greg. Anybody else?
I'd just add here that I agree. I think it is great to clean this up. I know we've had a lot of interest in Valley Junction, new restaurants, other facilities down there, and I see kind of the change here. And I know it's consistency, but I guess what I'm getting at is I'm going to be mindful of how this may impact, parking along Fifth Street and in the area with respect to all the facilities. And so I don't have a sense yet of how this impacts it and how the application to Valley Junction. I think there are specific kind of changes down there, but it's something I'm mindful of. And I'll probably be following up, and I'll support it tonight, but I need to better understand it going forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
And to that, Matt, I think if there are issues, they will probably naturally emerge, and then I have confidence in us to be able to, and the city staff to be able to address those. So we will keep an eye.
Okay, with that, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the City Code of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title 9 zoning, Chapter 15, off-street parking and loading pertaining to parking requirements.
Can I get a motion to approve the first reading?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 6F, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider lots 3 and 4, Delavan Plat 2, assignment of a portion of permanent storm sewer easement to Collins Engine Nozzles, Inc., initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
June 28, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6F, please come to the podium, give us your name and address. And anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of assignment of easement.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7, new business, item 7A, Mill Ridge, Plat 6, northwest corner of Stagecoach Drive and South 88th Street. Approve a preliminary plat to create 60 footprint lots, 2 outlots, and 1 street lot for multifamily residential development, and approve a site plan to allow construction of 60 attached townhomes with associated site improvements, Mill Ridge Townhomes, PPSP. We've got a resolution for approval of the preliminary plat and site agreement. There are no outstanding issues. There are, however, 4 conditions of approval regarding easements and agreements being in place, all the fees and payments being made prior to the city council action on the final plat. Other conditions include ensuring available water and vehicle access and recording the final plat before the building permits are issued. Can I get a motion to approve the preliminary plat and site plan?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, item 7B, an item that a lot of residents have been waiting for. Dave and Buster's, 190 South Jordan Creek Parkway, approved site plan to allow construction of an approximately 22,000 square foot entertainment facility, GGP Jordan Creek LLC. We've got a resolution for approval of the site plan, and there are no outstanding issues. There's 1 condition of approval involving the need to submit and have approved and recorded a final plat before any building permits are issued. And it also looks like the applicant needs to make sure they get any extension on their entitlement if that's required. This was approved by Development and Planning and P&Z with unanimous recommendation. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Go ahead.
No, please.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
insist.
people are, I'll take it, you guys are waiting, I'll take it. People are really excited about this one. I often have people come up to me and ask when Dave and Buster's is going to get going, and so this is going to be really exciting that the ball is now in motion and that we're going to see this here pretty soon. So can't wait, think it's going to really help the area. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, it was on the news last night, too, and so there is certainly some excitement around this. And I know that we go through these things very quickly that you see on the agenda, but there are subcommittees that really vet things out and look at this process. Again, Councilman McKinney and I have been on planning and development for a while, and that is a really robust committee that truly looks at these kinds of things and these kinds of initiatives. And so we reviewed it on February the 7th of 2022. Seems like almost a year, but it hasn't been, but there's been a lot of anticipation. So I think this is great for West Des Moines, and excited about this particular enterprise.
Councilman McKinney.
Thank you. I'll echo all those comments, and I'll add to it that, I know this is, or I understand this has been a long process in the making. I think this is, if I recall, something that may have started perhaps pre-pandemic or around that time. And I know that the folks at Jordan Creek, and I see Randy out there, have put a lot of time into this. And the time to bring an amenity like this that is a further draw for, our area, and an amenity that our citizens can, participate in, just like so many others that are coming to our area, is fantastic. So just a hat off to everybody that was involved, and Randy, to your efforts to make sure that these sorts of things happen in our community. So thank you.
With all the new amenities like this that have gone up in the last few years, my kids will never be bored again. No excuse.
I know it. And, I want to say something to that end, too. I mean, we talk about quality of life amenities a lot here in the city, and mainly when we're talking about quality of life amenities, we're talking about public quality of life amenities or public-private. But there's some private quality of life amenities like this and others. Some of the golf things that have been announced, and just some of the retail stores that some of our private sector developers have worked to bring here. It really does add to the quality of life of our citizens to have these retail outlets, these entertainment venues, these restaurants, these bars. it really helps to make us who we are. So I just really appreciate all the efforts of the private sector to bring some of these quality of life amenities here.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to just what you were saying, Mayor, is that, you know, the economic multiplier of having this kind of enterprise for West Des Moines is just huge. And you talk about people coming, but look at all the other things that they do when they're here. So, you know, they said, you know, all tides float the boats or whatever, but this is really good for a lot of things, but the economic multiplier that this offers for our city is enormous, so.
Agreed.
Indeed.
Thank
And just one more comment, since we're all making comments about this, because I think it is anticipated. And you know what? It takes a while. It just does. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, and I would rather it take a while and do it right than just speed through it with just malfeasance almost. So we don't want to do that. But you know, I was just thinking this past weekend was Good Guys, and if you all saw the fantastic looking cars, and my kids see the cars, they're like, "That's so cool." My kids think everything is cool, and so many of those folks who go to Good Guys down at the fairgrounds, they stay out here in West Des Moines, and now we just have another reason for them to hang out here more and more. And Renee is absolutely right, the economic multiplier, and also people want to stay in West Des Moines permanently, as in because it's the place that you want to be, it's the place you want to live. So when our kids are thinking that everything around here is cool, and then they go to a different city and everything costs 3 times as much, and they come back, man, well, West Des Moines is pretty cool too, and I can start a family here. So all of these things are not just immediate or even medium term. We're talking long term dividends that we're paying here. So or we're getting ready to start to pay out. So very supportive.
Awesome. All right, it'll be a great project. Everybody,
Question.
please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7C, Farmer State Bank, southeast corner of University Avenue and 98th Street, approve phase site plan to allow the construction of private utilities, footings, and foundations, Farmer State Bank. We've got a resolution for approval of the phased site plan. This came through Development and Planning this morning. There are no outstanding issues, but as a phased site plan, there are a number of items that need to be taken care of before final approval, and those are listed in your pinky. I will not go over all those, but can I get a motion to approve the phased site plan?
Motion to approve the site plan.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Councilman Lotz and I had the opportunity to go out to their groundbreaking a couple of months ago now, probably.
You were
right?
cold.
Yeah, it was brisk. It was. It's really been that long. My goodness. But again, when someone chooses to come to the metropolitan area, and they're really close to Waukee, and obviously they're going to be in a great spot to cater to Waukee families, Waukee businesses, West Des Moines business, but they did choose to locate in West Des Moines. I think that's a big deal, and that's something that can and should be celebrated because, hey, they're putting up a new, a really cool looking building too. Again, everything's cool.
Yeah,
But-
I'd like to say, it's appropriate here, especially given it's a bank, like, businesses don't make mistakes on where they choose to locate. They put a lot of thought into this. They're investing a lot of money into this. I'm very proud that businesses like this choose us, and there's a reason for that. So I'm really excited about this, as well as all the other businesses that are building here.
Totally agree. Grateful for their investment. Okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7D, West Bank, 3330 West Town Parkway, approve phase site plan to allow construction of private utilities, footings, and foundations, West Bank. We've got approval of phase site plan again. There's no outstanding issues. This was also approved by Development and Planning and P&Z unanimously. And again, as this is a phase site plan, there are a number of conditions of approval that must be met before the ultimate approval. Can I get a motion to approve the phase site plan?
Motion to approve the phase site plan.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Once again, what a great business. We talked
Yep.
about it earlier. Sticking around in West Des Moines, I'm thankful to have them here and that they're staying here.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Any other comments?
I just think we're becoming almost the bank capital of the world. You know, I was just 2 weeks ago at Chase Bank's open house and ribbon cutting, and they are growing in West Des Moines as well, and it was really neat to just see a few remarks for them choosing the location off of Mills Civics Parkway to open up as well. So it just feels like we're becoming the bank capital of the world.
Where there are banks, there's economic development.
Yes.
Cayman Islands has nothing on us. Okay. Thank you for the comments. Please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7E, Collins Building Addition, 2200 Delavan Drive, approve major modification to site plan to allow a 9,000 square foot building addition. Collins Engine Nozzles, Inc., FKA Delavan Manufacturing Company. We've got a resolution for approval of the major modification to the site plan. There are no outstanding issues, and the applicant's in agreement with all staff recommendations. And this also came through Development and Planning and P&Z unanimously.
Move for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is also going to be a phenomenal project for West Des Moines. It's going to create jobs and expand manufacturing, so very grateful for their investment here. Okay, please vote.
Increases the economic diversity.
It does.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7F, Microsoft DSM 1475 Southeast Moffett Lake Road, approve major modification of the site plan for a site logistics plan for construction of Microsoft data center buildings. Microsoft Corporation, we've got a resolution for approval of major modification of the site plan. Again, no outstanding issues. Applicants in agreement with all staff recommendations, and this came through both Development and Planning and P&Z unanimously. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the major modification.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7G, we've got the issuance of $10.2 million in general obligation capital loan notes, Series 2022D, final action items. We've got a resolution authorizing various components related to issuance of Series 2022 general obligation capital loan notes. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Nothing other than good job from our finance team putting this together. It's going to save the city a lot of money in a time of rising interest rates. This money probably would have cost us 200 basis points higher had we done this on the open market now, and over $10 million, that's a lot of money. So
Yeah,
thanks, Tim
absolutely.
and team, for putting it together.
Appreciate your comments, and I failed to mention this did come through Finance Administration with unanimous recommendation at the May 18th meeting. Appreciate all the work that Finance Administration does, Development and Planning, a lot of heavy lifting in both of those subcommittees. So, okay, please vote.
4 yes.
Okay, item 7H, Amendment to City Code, amend Title 5, Police Regulations, Chapter 3, Animal Code to add definitions and regulations for community cats. We've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading.
Motion to consider the first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I guess I would just say one thing, and that is I really have appreciated our partnership with Furry Friends and Britt, who's here today. Really, really appreciate that. I remember years ago, and you do too, we were talking about building an animal control facility, and it was going to be millions and millions of dollars. And through our partnership with Britt and Furry Friends, we've helped save taxpayers dollars. And I think that Furry Friends does a phenomenal job for us. So this is going to be a program where we're going to capture and release feral cats and get them neutered to try to control the population. I think this will be a successful program, and I appreciate this item coming forward, as well as the partnership we have with Furry Friends. So, okay, please vote.
Four yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title 5 Police Regulations, Chapter 3 Animal Control to add definitions and regulations for community cats.
To approve the first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Mr. Mayor, you missed an opportunity for a Bob Barker quote, and we're all really disappointed.
Just get your animals spayed and neutered.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, appreciate that.
4 yes.
Okay. Item, I'm sorry, item 7I. Amendment to city, I'm not skipping one, am I, Ryan?
Nope, you're
Okay.
good.
Amendment to City Code, Bob Barker threw me off there.
I did.
Amend Title 6, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 5, Rules of the Road, Article 8, General Provisions, Section 10, golf cart operations on city streets to clarify the prohibition of golf cart operation on city streets. With this one, there are no outstanding issues. This came through Public Safety Subcommittee, not once but twice, but I think some of the council wants to have greater clarification. I'm going to go to Councilman McKinney on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I've had a couple people actually reach out about this particular item, and I think there are some additional items maybe for consideration. I know, for example, the legislature this year passed a new law as it relates to ATVs and UTVs and what you should and shouldn't do and can and cannot do within cities, counties, and the state with respect to certain vehicles. And I know other micro-mobility transportation conversations are occurring. So perhaps maybe a more global evaluation or consideration of all sorts of transportation, micro sorts would be warranted.
Okay.
I have a comment as well. I think,
Why don't we, before, Councilman Lotz, before we do it, do you want to make a motion to
I'd make-
defer this item?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
second,
Okay, go ahead, Councilman.
I think that we need to look at this more comprehensively rather than singling out golf carts. I think about some of the scooters that you see in other places, other cities. I think about golf carts as a means of transportation. If you go to some cities, it's a primary one. I think about comprehensively, how can we reduce things like traffic? Obviously, I don't think it makes sense to let golf carts go on Jordan Creek, but if I'm going to drive one up my street on 57th Court to see my favorite city manager, Mr. Haddon, then I might drive that up there, right? And it may change how I consider, transportation in the city, and it could make things better. So I think comprehensively, I'd like us to, instead of singling this out, think about it more broadly in terms of how we plan for the future of transportation here.
Okay.
Indeed.
I guess the only question I would have is, thinking about deferring it, do we want to send it back to a subcommittee? It's been to Public Safety twice. Do we want to send it to another subcommittee for more discussion? Do we want to bring it to Public Services, Council Subcommittee? Do we want to bring it to Finance Administration?
Well,
I mean, what work is going to be done in the interim before we bring it back? That's the only
that's a really good
question
question.
I have.
And I know that the Bicycle Commission has worked through or is working through ordinances related to, rules of the road, so to speak. It's more of a metro-wide deal, but specifically in that ordinance, as I recall, there is, and maybe Sally would know, there's something about scooters in there. I don't know if there's e-bikes in there and some of these other forms. So I don't know where that ordinance is in relation to coming before the council, or what committee that would be going through, if any.
Well, if we brought it back to Public Services, I suppose we could have traffic engineers and whatnot come into the discussion, because I agree with what you're saying as far as micro-mobility. I think it is probably something we need to consider in the future. But,
I think that the concern probably would be the manner in which we allow them on the street. So
Right.
maybe public services would be the best
right,
place.
let's do that. We'll bring this to Public Services. And when is the next Public Services meeting? That's Monday? We don't have time to get it on the agenda then, do we, or do we? We do. Okay, all right, let's get it on the Public Services agenda for Monday, have greater discussion. I mean, what Councilman Lotz said, driving into some of the neighborhood streets is one thing, driving down Mill Civic Parkway is maybe another, but your point to the micromobility and scooters and e-bikes and all of that, I think some of those may use trails. I'm not sure it's appropriate for a golf cart on a trail, but
No.
so let's bring it there.
And if you play it through, I was thinking about my ward is Glen Oaks. If I'm driving a golf cart
Yeah.
on a private road in
Private
Glen Oaks,
road.
can I cross over to Target at a stoplight and go there?
I think that's part of the concern, to be honest with you.
I agree. Yeah.
But, all right, let's bring this back let's bring it to Public Services on Monday, have a discussion there, ferret out some of these issues, and then we'll bring it back to the council in 2 weeks.
Whatever the result, I would exhort us to really make a very measured decision here, because this feels like a situation, whether it's new emerging technologies, whatever, this has a feeling of once that box is opened, once the gate is open, then a lot of things could happen from there. And it might make a lot of residents unhappy, even though there might be some benefits. I urge a very measured decision-making process on this. And I know we will, but I just wanted to say that.
Well, as some of us have talked about scooters and whatnot, we've talked about some of the cities that are doing this are doing it on a pilot project basis, 6 months, 1 year, to see what kind of concerns and complaints there are. So maybe we could even do something like that with whatever we come up with. Renee, did you have comments?
And again, I'm supportive of it going to Public Services and committee to look at it. But let's look at it too from the angle of all residents. Scooters are there, people with disabilities use scooters. The population, there's a lot of different needs of the population. So I want us to be open-minded about that, deliberate and measured about how diversity and equity and all of that stuff plays into transportation. I mean, look at everything other cities are doing. They're being pretty progressive in a lot of ways to handle transportation. We got gas issues and all of that kind of stuff. So let lots of other factors go into this decision about what and how many and what types of residents we have when we are trying to make this decision. Because there are lots of competing needs that we have here for residents and mobility issues.
And a quick question of clarification. The motion was to defer to a future council meeting or the next council meeting?
Public service.
The next one. So we're going to defer to the next council meeting, and then in the meanwhile, this is going to go on Monday to Public Services Council Subcommittee for greater discussion.
Yep. Okay.
I might ask, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Brian, do you think that's enough time to prepare?
No? Okay. So why don't we, Matt, do you want to amend your motion, bring it back to the first, maybe bring back to the first council meeting in August?
I'd look to Brian to tell. I don't know what the other thing I would add, and there was a law passed in the legislature about these delivery vehicles as well. The Amazon Scout, for example, travels down sidewalks and delivers packages. And it's a law that the Iowa legislature authorized. And if we're talking about what can and cannot go on the sidewalk, is it an e-bike? Is it a scooter? Is it a delivery device? I don't know what it is. But to the extent we're going to have, to your point, a measured and global conversation, you open the door, you don't open the door, I think those are some things to consider.
But before Brian even says anything, I mean, this is, and I talked to Sally about this, I mean, this is a discussion. I think some of us want to take a look at, would we have these scooters here, for example? The city of Waukee has them. Other cities are looking at them. That just may take a little bit longer than even next month's council meeting. So I think we want to keep those things in mind, but right now, focus just on the golf carts for right now. That said, I would like an expedited conversation on other micro, mobility devices, if we can get that moving and figure out what we want to do so that we could be more progressive and maybe have the e-bikes, have the scooters and things like that. Brian.
Brian Hemmes says, city engineer, might I just request that maybe Dick and the city manager's office and I talk about the correct committee for this to go to? I don't know if Public Services is the correct committee. We're a infrastructure type of a committee and not necessarily the types of vehicles that would go on it. That seems to be more of a public safety thing. But I'd like to talk, and then maybe Tom could give you a call, Russ, and talk that through.
I was just kind of thinking how the transportation system could accommodate these vehicles, if that's possible, or
Well, and that's,
maybe it'll take more than one committee or more input than just engineering.
well, and that's why it's been to public safety twice. Public safety's weighed in. We've looked at it. We're looking at it from a public safety standpoint, which needs to be first and foremost. But now what I'm saying is let's maybe take a transportation angle. Let's take an engineering angle. Let's take a traffic engineer angle. I I mean, we don't really have a transportation committee, if you will.
Public safety weigh in on the golf cart or the entire, as in the global discussion about conveyances?
The golf cart.
Oh, okay.
The golf cart. It's been in 2021 and 2022 both.
Because if it's a broader discussion of all these new types of conveyances, then that would be a different discussion than what's ever happened in public safety before.
Well, and Parks and Rec has a big portion of this when we're talking about the micromobility devices and scooters and e-bikes on trails and sidewalks. But, you know, I mean, I suppose if you wanted, you could kick it to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, but they don't really deal with the golf carts. You know, so I'm trying to think of a council committee that can go to.
Are you looking for data and research around micromobility and as you say, you know, transportation or conveyances on our city streets? Is that a?
Mainly, I think the micromobility discussion on scooters and e-bikes and zip cars and whatever else is going to go on is a greater, larger discussion that's going to take months and months. What I think we want to do is talk specifically about the golf carts and whether or not there is any way that we would ever allow them on city streets, from a public safety standpoint, from a transportation standpoint. You know, what Councilman Lotz brought up, maybe it's on, you know, collector streets or a certain classification and cannot go over to major arterials, or maybe we can't do that. You know.
The motion as it sits is to defer for the next 2 weeks. So this is a very narrow.
The next month, basically now.
The next month. So this is a very narrow public safety focused change, but maybe we take as a takeaway a broader look at this that's inclusive of public safety, but also broader, that can be done 6 months from now or a year from now, if that makes
But,
sense.
right, the problem is we have to have clarification in the meanwhile, because we're seeking clarification because it's a little bit ambiguous as to what
We can tackle that next month.
We've got,
In this narrow scope.
sorry,
I might, go ahead, Brian.
we've got two really experienced traffic engineers that can take a look, dig into this a little bit. We can talk internally, and we'll work through Tom, through you to determine
Okay.
which committee we'll take it to, and
Okay.
then we'll talk it through that way.
Okay, so it will go to the appropriate committee as determined by staff.
The other option we were just discussing is perhaps it's not a committee, perhaps it's a memo from legal and CMO where we provide information from all of the different perspectives, from a parks perspective and their existing, you know, trails, regulations, from an infrastructure and development, engineering perspective, from the public safety. If the question is specifically, is there any way that we might allow golf carts on city streets? We could address and answer that with data from all of the different departments' perspectives and just provide it to y'all in a memo.
And we may come back and be at the same spot now, where we're just simply clarifying,
Potentially.
prohibiting them with exception of special events.
At least if we provided a memo, we would know what information y'all are missing in order to be able to
Okay.
vote on the item. So then we
Is that
can
acceptable to
provide more
council, have
research.
staff do the research, or would you like to participate in some way, shape, or form through a subcommittee?
Maybe we'll know after we provide the research if there is further discussion on a committee level needed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I guess maybe we take a look and see what the memo says. Personally, I look at it and I think more globally. You know, I think, you know, we have to understand, I don't know what other communities are doing, right? I don't know if you're allowing scooters on sidewalks or they have to be on a street. I don't know if an e-bike can go on the path or it has to go on the street. I don't know if other motorized vehicles are prohibited and where they're prohibited. And I think that the law change at the state level, both in regards to delivery devices as well as to ATV, UTV vehicles, gives us some insight. For example, one of the items in that law requires you, if you have an ATV and you drive it on a street, you have to have insurance coverage. Our ordinance doesn't say anything about insurance coverage, and it stands to reason that you probably want to have insurance coverage. If you're going to, you know, cross a street, you got to have a SMV, a small moving vehicle sign on there, just for safety precautions. I think those sorts of things are pretty, you know, we can look at some of those things and inform ourselves. But personally, I'd like to see a more global conversation on this, because I think to single out scooters while we're having conversations on delivery devices, or single out ATVs, we got a lot of rural parts in our community here. in Warren and even, Dallas County and Madison County, are we going to prohibit ATVs and UTVs here? And if we're going to allow we're not going to allow a golf cart in Madison County, but we will. So I think it needs to be a more global conversation.
If it's a more global conversation, that's going to take months. That's the problem. I mean, what you want to discuss is going to take months. It's going to bring in Parks and Rec and traffic engineers and public safety, and that's fine if you want to do that. But I guess, is there an issue that staff has found out right now why we're trying to clarify this? I mean, have there been challenges? Have people been trying to drive their golf cart on the street and our city code is somewhat ambiguous? I mean, do we need to do something in the meanwhile to avoid some kind of disaster or unintended consequence? If not, then maybe you go back, amend your motion just to defer it to a later date and no specific time. But it could take months, what you want to talk about.
So I think that's a good question. Is there a pending issue or pending request, or I don't know?
Once in a while, we'll get a request, can you drive a golf cart on city streets?
Yeah.
And it says, simply in the code, simply says it's prohibited, but the council can allow it under certain circumstances. So it was just a clarification, I think, Matt, when you brought it up, maybe that brought it to the fore, and so we thought we'd just bring a little more clarity to it. So there's really no pending immediate issue.
Okay, do you want to amend your,
I would,
amend your
yes.
motion?
Amend the motion that we defer this until we can have a more, I guess, global, comprehensive approach to micromobility in our community.
Okay, who seconded it?
I'll second.
Who seconded, who was the initial person? You? Okay. You're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
So to be clear, we have an understanding that this is going to be part of a larger discussion
Yes.
about micromobility. I like that word, Mr. McKinney, in our community. And it's going to take months upon months to do, and that's fine. Oh, well, Brian, not months upon months?
We'll see.
It-
I haven't even dug into it yet.
It is committee.
Indeed. But I think we would love a holistic contextualization to this situation so we can make appropriate code changes if necessary. So I'm supportive, yeah.
Okay. Please vote.
Four yes.
Okay, that item is deferred. Item.
Forever.
Deferred indefinitely upon further notice. Item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. Item 8A, we've got one item here. We will receive and file the West Des Moines Waterworks Independent Auditor's Report, financial statements, and supplementary and other information as of December 31st, 2021. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters that any council person would like to bring up at this point in time? And it better not be golf carts or micromobility devices.
I'll talk about scooters.
Okay, hearing none, we've got no workshop, no executive session. We are adjourned.